Seth Rollins is the perfect opponent for Bronson Reed, and here's why. And in this video, we're going to break down why it's such a good idea to have Seth Rollins be paired with Bronson Reed, why their storyline and their feud is pretty epic right now, and more. Because Seth Rollins is the ideal opponent for Bronson Reed due to several key factors that could make their feud very compelling. Seth Rollins, he returned to WWE television recently after being attacked, laid out by Bronson Reed. Now the multi-time world champion, he is obviously one of their biggest stars under contract, and they're clearly high on Bronson Reed, trying to get him up as the next big dominant heel, and I think he's got a lot of potential. So let's go through some of these reasons, because I think they're quite interesting. Seth Rollins' ability to bring out the best in his opponents. Rollins, he's a ring general. Seth Rollins has a reputation for elevating his opponents, whether it's his in-ring storytelling or his ability to make others look strong. Rollins, he could help Reed show off aspects of his game that haven't been really explored yet. Reed's powerhouse style can also be highlighted against Rollins, making them look both strong in the process. How about Reed's matches against agile or athletic opponents? Proven chemistry with smaller, quicker guys? Well, Reed has shown that he has great matches with those types of wrestlers. His bouts against Johnny Gargano and others from NXT and to the main roster have demonstrated how well he can work with more athletic opponents. Rollins' ability to sell offense and work against bigger guys means their matches could have the perfect storm of athleticism, storytelling, and physicality, and which would make it for a great showdown. And I think it will make for a great showdown whenever that match gets booked. How about Reed's monster heel persona versus Seth Rollins being a fan favorite star? Rollins, he has that charisma, and Reed, he has that intimidation, so it all gels together. Rollins is currently positioned as a babyface, and he's really excelling in being able to bring the fans into his matches with his energy and charisma, letting them buy into what he's selling. Bronson Reed, on the other hand, he's been portrayed as a monster heel, and their match, their clash, whenever that is, could highlight the fan support for Rollins as a hero trying to survive Reed's wrath, creating an emotionally charged match dynamic. You cannot understate how good of a heel monster Reed is, and we're going to get into that here in a minute. Underdog versus monster dynamic. The storyline is, it could go anywhere and everywhere. Look, Rollins, he often thrives and rolls as the underdog when facing physically imposing opponents. Reed's stature and dominance could make Rollins the perfect David versus Goliath figure, where Rollins must overcome Reed's brute force. Say that 3 times fast. The story, it can play off Reed trying to assert dominance by targeting Rollins' injured back, something in which has been well established, and I think that can make for a lot of fun things. How about elevating Reed's status? Rollins, he's a proven star. He's one of WWE's top-tier talents with multiple world title reigns. A program with Rollins is going to help Bronson Reed, who is establishing himself as a dominant force on the main roster. If Reed can go not only toe-to-toe with Rollins, or even get the win out of this feud, it would solidify his legitimacy as a top contender. Rollins, he has a history of putting over other rising stars in great matches and help showcasing their strength. And I think he can absolutely do that. If you look at where they're going with Bronson Reed, and if you look at where they're going with Seth Rollins, I think it's very clear cut. Rollins, he's been a guy that he had a long world championship reign, 2023, early 2024. He teamed up with Cody Rhodes. He put over The Rock and Roman Reigns. The following night, he puts over Drew McIntyre. CM Punk, he screws over Drew McIntyre. Damian Priest comes out there. He cashes in Money in the Bank. And then he starts this wonky, he took time off. He had a little minor surgery done. He comes back. Then he's laid down by Bronson Reed. He takes more time off. Now he's back. I think he'll be back for good, obviously, with this feud kicking off. Bronson Reed is a guy that I absolutely think has high potential. his high potential as a talent in WWE and as a main eventer. I absolutely see him being a future world champion, and here's why. He fits the mold. He looks the part, he acts the part, he is the part. He is the classic dominant champion in which all bookers want to have under contract. And he's also a really, really good talker. Like, people forget about his NXT babyface run and him being North American champion and everything like that. He's a really, really good babyface. And so, as good of a heel as he is, he also has a lot of runway as a babyface. And that's going to help him with his longevity in WWE. And that also gives him options, right? If he gets a little stale as a heel, then he can go into being a babyface. And also, we have not been able to see how good he has been on the mic in recent years. If you look at the situation like this, in NXT as a babyface, he was a really good promo. New Japan, he developed his dominant heel monster-esque persona, and has carried that over to WWE. The only drawback to a monster heel is you don't get to see a lot of their personality, and you don't get to see them do promos that often. Well, eventually we'll be able to get that. I wish they would give him the mic a little bit more often, because I do believe, like, he's one of those guys that he's very believable when he talks. When he does a promo, you best believe he means what he is saying. He 100% understands what he's saying. He thinks what he's saying. He knows what he's saying is right. Everything. He is believable. He's one of the most believable guys on their roster, right? And then the pairing with Seth Rollins, it's going to be a lot of fun, especially if you'll let these guys talk just a little bit, right? Like, we don't know when we're going to get this match necessarily. As a recording of this video, they could announce it, but I think whenever that is, I think it needs to mean something. It shouldn't just be another match on the card. They need to take their time with this, right? Seth, he still needs to get into ring shape. And let this build, let this cook, right? I would save it for Saturday night's main event in December. That's just me. But they'll probably book it on Crown Jewel. Either way, whenever they do get around to this match, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I hope, with all the reasons in which I just laid out in this video, I hope you would at least agree with that, because I think this is a make it or break it feud for Bronson. Obviously, him just feuding with Braun Strowman recently, but him and Seth, man, that's a lot of potential right there. That's a lot of fun that they could have a lot of weight with. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see where they can take it from here.